we were living in Bethel, and Myron Anksman ran the Iditarod in '79, and he came back just so excited. And Mushy there were sprint races, but we didn't have much long distance in the Delta area, and I just got a small team. I was going to travel. It was just going to be recreational. But, you always want to be part of it when there's a lot of other teams around. I'll do that too. That's what I can do. And I just liked the idea. I traveled thousands and thousands of miles by snow machine, and I counted muskox and everything. Gone out to Nelson Island by snow machine and back. But I love dogs. Machinery is machinery. Dogs are passion. And so I just thought if I got a few dogs, it would give me a way to play with them and do that. Well, that didn't take too long too, wanting to travel multi-distance with them. Not that I was prepared to do so. And I was illy prepared. I mean, there's no way I would have qualified in this day and age, as rules when I first started. But the one thing I did know, I knew how to take care of dogs, and I did know how to travel in the winter, and I knew nothing else. And everything else I have learned over the years, all the survival skills, all the techniques of sticking with things, and all of that has been learned via the Iditarod trailer. It's really true, because this is an adventure, but it's also a true test of character. To be deadly honest with yourself, or you could be dead.
What was your first Iditarod like?
Well, I was terrified. Absolutely terrified. And I didn't want to leave to Skwentna. I camped out before Skwentna. Then I didn't want to leave. I was scared to death of the happy steps. And I remember Myron telling me, no matter how bad they are, they're over in about 30 seconds. Okay, that sounds terrible, but 30 seconds, I could probably live through 30 seconds, And then my dogs had not been trained to pull up hills, so going down onto the happy was not nearly as hard as getting up off the happy. And I remember having to get in front of the sled and grab the brush boat and pull along with the dogs. I was dog number whatever number I had, I was the next one. And it was pretty exhausting. And I don't really remember the gorge that well. And I remember being really, really happy to be on the Kuskokwim because I was living in Bethel. That seemed like I was on the home side of the range, And then we went, somebody told me that my mom was in McGrath as I was traveling towards McGrath. And when I had left, my mom had gone into the hospital to have a radium implant for uterine cancer. So I knew that they couldn't be right. And I got into McGrath and I was signing. And they said, your mom's here. No, it can't be. And I looked up and she was with my leaders. And she had gone straight from the hospital to Merrill Field and gotten a small plane to bring her to McGrath. And she had said, I don't know if I'll live or not. And my daughter may never need me more than now. And I'm going to go to McGrath. And she stayed there for several days after I left helping other mushers. But I remember pulling out of McGrath, and it was evening, and it's getting dark, and it's pulling out into what I thought was some of the loneliest country I had ever seen. And I was pretty nervously scared, I was pretty scared. And the interior was spooky to me because I had not traveled a lot in the interior. And that was a reality check for sure. But it was one of those deals, stay with it. And eventually, finished 24th. Finished and was 24th. And, was never the same after that. I was always more awed by how small I am in relationship to all the adventures and all the trials that are out here. And, I never felt like I got it. Every race you learn, every race, something new comes up, and you've changed. Nowadays, the competition's closer, but there's such a learning curve. I don't think anybody ever really reaches it. I'm there. I'm the best. I'm the best in the world. I don't believe that ever happens.
What kept you coming back to the Iditarod every year?
Well, my passion for dogs, and for a purpose, to give them a purpose, help them, but also the people in the villages, the bond with the original coming into this country, the original opening of the Arctic. And I told Mike, I said, one really good thing about Iditarod every year is it's really a great grounding, because when I come home from Iditarod, I no longer care about what kind of food I have. Just a warm bowl of soup is the best gourmet meal in the world. And to be able to sleep, there's more than a few pictures of me sleeping here in Unalakleet with my head on a bunny boot, thinking, oh my gosh, this is a nice bed. And just be warm, be inside, and have a bowl of soup it's just like the money can't buy anything better. And I think that is not bad to have that kind of a reality check.
After you completed your first Iditarod, did you think, I'm going to be doing this for
No.
26 races?
No, I never thought that. I never thought that. I never knew when I was ever going to stop. I mean, after I finished the first Iditarod, I thought, well, I got to do one more because I made really, really, really a lot of mistakes. Then I did one more. Didn't make quite as many mistakes. And then I took 82 off. And then it was like, I want to go again. So I went in 83, and that was my first top 20 finish. And then I was hooked. 84 was a disaster. I decided that I wanted to raise my own team, that was going to be the best. So I took 85 and 6 off and raised my own team, and my first top 10 finish was 87 with the team I had raised. And I think something that really helped for that was I was a judge on the 85 race. Well, lots of things went wrong. I mean, that race, we had freezes because we couldn't get equipment out, and one thing after another. But as a judge, I saw it from the other side, and I also saw what the front end was doing, middle, all different kinds of ways to run the race. And it was a huge learning curve. And I think that really helped me as well.
Over the years, what have been the Iditarod highlights for you?
Well, that first top 10 finish, that was a highlight. Another highlight was my first second place finish. That was unbelievable. It was just amazing to me, Another highlight was finishing in 03, just finishing, but to be able to have been in 18th place, just having started 3 weeks after my last cancer treatment, it just was magic. It was obviously all about the relationship. I was not a strong person, but the dogs had me. They just had me in their paws, and they really treated me well. And I promised Mom, just one checkpoint to the next. I'll pull out. I didn't have to. That was a very, very special race.
Now you're here in Unalakleet 2018. There's all of these people here. How does that feel to have so many people here celebrating?
Well, I still can't believe they're here for me. I think they're here to celebrate each other, and they should, because this community is what's given me so much rebound. I made friends with them in church camp and in fishing time and in summer and running with the kids in August, and there's so much strength in the communities, and we don't hear about that very often. What makes the news is the inadequacies, but what's really the true story is the strength and the network here. And it makes me want to be here because, we've let our family units just kind of drift away from each other. And I didn't have a big one to start out with. And in the last several years, you know, I've lost both my mom and dad, and Mike has lost his parents 19 years ago now, or his father, and his brother was killed in a car accident. And, you know, our family biologically is very small, but like I said, this family has adopted me, and I've experienced more strength and heartaches with them than any place in the world.
Can I just ask you about so you scratched and Rainey passed this year. Can you just talk about that and what prompted your decision?
Well, they brought us in a different way, and I knew that I didn't have a real powerful team. You know, they were nice, and but I know what power is, and they weren't power, and so I had to do a lot of running up the hills. And you know, there was one hill that was so steep. There was a couple times where, I mean, I'm just pushing as hard as I can too. And so that is an explanation of why I was drenched when I got into Rainy, just absolutely drenched. And so I took care of the dogs, and I was just gonna try to get dry. And that ended up having lost so many fluids. I was more compromised than I thought I was. And so I was just gonna stay, okay? It was a Clarity 24 stay. And it had started snowing. And then I thought, wow, everybody's gone except for one team, and I'm gonna stay, and I'm gonna go out there with this team, with myself not feeling strong, and a team that I don't believe can break trail and, you know, make this really a long run coming up. And I'm gonna have to camp in that run. And then just didn't seem like it was a good idea, you know, because my hands have been frostbitten enough. But for all the reasons that I decided to retire were the reasons that to go out there by myself seemed like a poor idea. The potential for getting in trouble. So that's when I decided, hey, you know what, I'm gonna pull.
There are many people that want to say hi to you, dear.
Yeah, I'm coming.
All right.
And anyways, it was a good decision because that night I got some kind of a bug that was aggressively nasty, and I would have been in big trouble out there. So I just retired earlier than I wanted to, but you know what? I haven't been sorry for that.
I said one last thing for you. What's next?
I don't know. I'm leaving the door open. I mean, I know I want to be training dogs, and I know I want to be trying to use my availability to give back to the communities. And I don't know exactly how that's all going to fit together, but those are the doors I'm looking to walk through. So we'll see. I'm pretty excited about it, actually.